Sunny but cold. 55 degrees but sunny.
Earlier today, there was a low price offer for something you might have liked.
Sorry, Alexa's talking to me about I missed a deal. It's no longer available. All right. Fair enough, Alexa. Fair enough. I was just trying to see the temperature, that's all. Okay, let's start recording. Good afternoon. Officially welcome everyone to the Market Watch Group Weekly Market Wrap. I'm Scott. Here's the disclaimers. We're not brokers. We're not advisors. We don't give advice or recommendations. This is for education, illustrative purposes only. What are we going to do today? We're going to talk about today's market. It's been an interesting week, an interesting market. We'll look at today's analysis. We'll look at our posture to see, is it going to get better, worse, stay the same? Are you going to carry trades? Come on, PLTR keeps doing its thing. What are we going to look for next week? What are we expecting by way of news? We're right in the midst of earnings season. The earnings are coming in. Some are good, some are not as good, and some are good but not good enough, which is not overall terrible. It just gives the market a chance to make an adjustment. And then we will look at our opportunity list and last chance to spend some time on section 3 in the trading plan, building your trading rules. All right, let's go. Apple, earnings are coming up. Otherwise, I was like, I'm thinking about it. Okay, let's get some things going here. Let's get the watch list ready. Data suggests U.S. economy to grow at an encouragingly solid pace. Musk might be hurting Trump more than helping. Well, when that's the picture, yeah, I would say so. That's not helping anybody do anything. But that's his pose yesterday after the earnings announcement. You guys don't see my screen? What the hell's going on? Oh goodness. I'm going to pretend like you did see the I'm not going to go back through the slides. Well, I thought that thing was turned on, you guys. Son of a gun. All right, there it is. Now do you see it? Now do you see why I was making fun of the picture? So all you missed was the slides. But that's actually now him jumping for joy after yesterday's earnings announcement when he made back all that money he had lost as it had been drifting down. So where are we at? S&P was bullish all day. Now we're flat. Dow was bullish. Now we're negative. As NASDAQ was bullish, it's holding to some bullish. NASDAQ was bullish, back to negative. Oil, we were like, oil's fine. Oil's fine. Boom, 2.5%. Maybe not quite yet. Gold, pretty flat for the day. What else? NASDAQ leads stocks higher as yields retreat further, yada, yada. Yeah. Okay. Not much there. Let's go to the economic calendar real quickly. I thought it was already loaded. There we go. Okay, Friday. Oh, now it's shot it down here. Last week is this week. Durable goods came back a little better than expected, less negative. Consumer sentiment came back a little better than expected. As far as that goes, everything's fine. Next week, nothing Monday. Tuesday, consumer confidence expected to stay in the high 90s. Job openings, it's the first Friday of the month. It's the first Friday of the month. Oh, it's very strange. It always baffles me. Usually they would kick this when it's November 1st because they've got ADP giving October jobs numbers when it's October 30th. That doesn't seem to compute to me. That doesn't give confidence that they're not giving us questionable numbers. These bastards. What do we have? It's Jobs Week, though. Because it's the first Friday, it's Jobs Week. So on Tuesday, we have job openings. Last time it was 8 million. They're expecting it to be 7.9. That's maintaining at a level higher than we ever had pre-pandemic. Ever. Even pre-pandemic in a good job market, it was like 7 million. 6.5, 7 million. So there's still jobs that exist. ADP last month was at 143. They're expecting it to come down to 113. Okay, I don't care that much about ADP, and anything above 100 is kind of in maintenance. GDP was at 3, expected to come in at 3.2. That's a solid number. That's what they were talking about, that it's supposed to grow at a solid clip. If we can just maintain an environment where we are producing more GDP, 3.2, than we are inflation, I don't know, between the midst of all of those measurements that the Fed uses, I don't know, what would we give it as an average? 2.45 right now, 2.5, let's say. If we can stay in an environment where growth is ahead of inflation, then we're in a good place. And it's expected to uptick. What's been going on? Inflation downticking, growth upticking. Great. Personal income expected to rise a little. Spending expected to rise a little. I didn't realize that we had both jobs and PCE. Did you guys know that? We have PCE. Income. PCE supposed to come in where? 2.1%. Still coming down. Year over year. Still coming down. Core PCE, 2.7 to 2.6. Still coming down. Does that give the Fed more ability? I feel like we haven't looked at this in a little while, and we're only 2 weeks away already from the next Fed cut, or the potential from the next Fed meeting. Look at me, I'm all, the next Fed cut. Ha ha ha. Are you wondering if me and Austin Goolsbee are having side conversations? I'm trying to establish that communications channel, yes. Yes, of course. What are the expectations for this upcoming meeting? Basically, it's 10-1 that they're going to cut it 1/4 of a point. Nobody thinks it's going to be 1/2 a point. Very few people think it's going to be unchanged. Yeah, I would say that makes sense. I would say we are going to get that 1/4 of a point. Then we have one more. For the last one in December, there's 25% of people who say that's it. 75% of people say we're going to get one more cut this year to give us a full 1% before the end of the year. One more cut. Maybe. Anything else that we need to look at? Let's go through the market. A couple of things to talk about today. First and foremost, here is the the SPY gave it all back. Does that change anything? No. No, it doesn't. We're still where we were. We're still in this pullback. It's still mild. I do have this one chunk of volume that I'm just not sure what I'm going to do with yet. I'll probably be able to? Well, let's just see. Let's just see. The VIX. Okay, so what has this VIX done? If you're hedged, you're probably still hedging. But does this look like this thing could just stall out at 20 and fall? Yes. Yes, it does. It hasn't. I'm not going to score this next week. This is the same score, right? This is what's happened. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nothing. From here to here, we've gone a little higher. Great. That's not going to change. Let's look at the SPY. Let's go through the posture. Then we'll go through the watch list. Okay, so let me get to the top. Apple. I would still call this a setup if it weren't for earnings coming up here so soon. Aflac. Now, this was interesting. Financials really took it on the chin today, where I was like, these are setting up not a lot of volume, but a lot of selling, right? Over 2%. Volume-wise, not bad. Amazon is kind of flat. APO, selling. Do I still think this is a setup? Yes, I still have earnings that I have to be aware of, but I do think that's still a setup. A Pluvin, nothing really there. Buckled, right, press? Buckled. AXP, I still like it. Nothing's changed. It was looking like it wanted to, but not now. BAC, buckled. Oh, look at that, bearish engulfing. But the thing is it's a bearish engulfing with what kind of volume? There's 26 minutes left. Average volume is almost 32 million. We're at 17.5. Right? I mean, that's such a low amount of volume on this day. There's not much we can do about it, but it is what it is. It's very interesting. And it's across the board in financials. There it is, another one. The sellers taking control on paltry volume. I mean, look at this. It averages 4.2 million. We're at 1.5. It's not even 50% volume. It's not like you're like, oh man, look at all these sellers. You're like, what the hell? There's hardly any sellers, and yet it's going down. I'm not giving up on financials. I believe in financials. I think they're going to work through this. What does it mean when the sellers take over and sell? I mean, it's hard to know, press. Honestly, I don't know that I have like I could make up a bullshit answer that just may not be quite right. It's low volume sellers. Yeah. It tells me that they don't have control. That's what it tells me. That's not institutional, right? So I look at this trend and I still think this trend looks fine. You'll notice that our stochastics never really did much. Even though it kind of looked like it was going to give a classic J-hook pattern, this still looks fine for a setup to me. I still like AXP. I still like BK. I still like BX. I don't like Carrier. I'm dropping Carrier from my list off this real bad earnings report. Caterpillar, we'll watch it and see. CMG, just kind of flat, kind of grinding. You're close to earnings. You might have put a trade on back here that you're just sitting on. Like, is it going to go any further? 1, 2, 3 times hitting this $60 level. You got to be aware of it. Coherent. I still like it, actually. I still think it's the same setup. It's at the same support level. I'm still thinking about it. The Dow. I mean, everything's sold. Nothing's sold with volume. I'm not convinced. The sellers have not convinced me. Fastenal, Miguel, come on, right? I'm thinking about it. You're thinking about it. We're all thinking about it. Are we? I don't know. I don't want to speak for everybody. Fidelity National Information Services. Is that what this is? It's so close to earnings. I just don't think it's going to give us a chance, but, it's still bullish. Sideways on Bitcoin. Gold hitting some resistance. Google, I'm not convinced. It's just so sideways. I gotta wait, see what earnings does. Does this thing break? What does it break into? What does it do? Yada, 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 yada. What else? What else? Goldman. I'm not convinced. I still think. Look at this. I'm at resistance here, 510. I break it. It comes back. It's the same test at 510. It's the same test. I still likes it. Home Depot, same test. Now, here's the deal. Would I look at Home Depot differently if I'm like, but what about all those sellers? All what sellers? Average 3 million. Today, 1.1 million. Is that the sellers like, we own this stock. We're taking it down. No. That's not it at all. Robinhood. IBM. Oh, IBM. I have a special place in my heart for IBM. Of course. My dad worked there for 30 years. I have his when they used to do this, I was a senior in high school when he got it. 25-year anniversary, they gave him a Rolex back in the day. So that I was the youngest, so I was the last one in the house, and when he got it, I'm like, I laid claim to that watch. And then when he passed, everyone's like, what about the watch? I'm like, oh, that's my watch, you guys. It's broken. I need to get it fixed. I didn't realize that it's going to cost me $500 just to fix the damn thing. So yeah, I don't wear it. All right. IWM. It is a cool one. It's like just a silver, oyster. It's nice. I want to wear it. KKR. IWM, what do you think? I think it's still valid. I mean, this doesn't shake me at all. So if you liked the setup here, press, which I would say we do, I still like it 2 days later. This is not invalidated because it sort of veered up and still sitting around that. Time will be correct twice a day. That's true. That is true. JCI, kind of in a ascending triangle. Like, is it going to try to pop out of this? KKR. I like KKR a bit. I ended up getting out, I think the last piece right before earnings, I was in right up until here. Did this. It's pulling back. I like KKR. Still, I'm going to see how the dust settles on these financials. You know? Mickey Donald's. Yeah. I mean, I think we all know what's happening here. this thing is just waiting for the McRib to come back out. When that McRib sandwich comes out and they see how sales draws old McDonald's people back, they're like, the McRib is back. Boom, this thing starts bouncing. We'll watch for it. We'll look for the McRib effect. A lot of people don't even realize that there is a McRib effect on a stock like McDonald's, but there is. Provably. Mickey Coli. Oh, press. This is a good one. I'll give you that. I like it. Meta. I think Meta looks quite good still. And we're right on top of earnings, so I don't think there's anything that we're gonna do with that, to be fair. I still like Morgan Stanley. It was a damn freight train. Now it's pulling back a little bit. Great. If you look at the stochastics, you never thought the pullback was even done. You were looking at a flag here, thinking maybe, but then not now. Microsoft, we got a big slew of earnings next week. One more big week next week. That's going to be useful information for us for sure. NDAQ. It just had its earnings. It came out fine. You'll notice things are doing great. 68, they got 74. On average, it's like 8%. On average is what we get. 7 to 8% beating expectations. I bet we're right there. Corporate America is holding up its end. Netflix, maybe, setting up. Nvidia still looks strong. PEG, I don't know about PEG. Honestly, as I look at the dust settling in industrial or in utilities, Southern and XLU, those are the two I would be willing to trade. When we had the trade, I traded XLU. You'll see here why in a minute. Here's PLTR, our good friend PLTR. Look at that. Where are we? So we deviated a little bit from our path, but we give it till the end of the week, and what does it do? It gets back right up in there. Right up in there. Yeah. What are we going to do with it? We're going to hold it. We're going to hold it. Closed out today. All of it, press? All of it? Okay, thank you. I have no problem with one contract with paring down on a Friday at a high. I get that. That makes sense. As long as we leave some, because it looks like it's got some run. Still got some run to it, I think. So I think that's a very prudent decision. So PayPal, we're looking for that hat trick on that PLTR, 3 in a row. Not just 3, but 3 like beauties, like carry the quarter trades. Am I wrong? Like real strong PLTR trades. Truth indeed, sir. QQQ, it looks okay. Today's just a funky day, right? RTX looks just fine. Southern, it's got earnings coming up, but made a new high. Now it's pulling back. Still viable. SoFi, who traded this one? Someone traded this, right? Who did this? Are you still in it? That'd be a tough one to hold through the weekend, I think. This close to earnings, this close to resistance on a weekend. I guess it's no one that's here now. Here's the SPY, trying to finish somewhat positive. I mean, it's interesting because the SPY volume is not. The SPY volume where we're finishing slightly positive is average volume. Average is 42, we're at 33. We'll probably end up at like 30, 38 or 39 million, which is very close. you'll notice that where the volume is low, where the volume is below average is on those sell-offs, like the financials, right? Where you're like, wait a second, is this that bad? And you're like, I don't know that it really is. Yeah, I don't know. That's my thought, you guys. I'm letting my bullish sentiment prevail. I look at this and still think. Some people think, oh, it's getting ready to what? The buyers haven't been there for 6 days, right? We haven't had buyers in 6 days. And what has the sellers done? A whole lot of nothing for the most part, right? Tesla still going, even a little stronger still, getting right back up to that old high. Is it a cup? Are we going to get a handle? TSM looks kind of strong, right? Like that looks tempting to me. If there was one tempting trade, it's this one because I liked this one and it went great. So yeah, TTD. Yeah, that would had a little bit of enticement to it as well out of the financial sector. UUP. Just stay strong right now. I've been booking some things and paying for it. I feel like I'm at least getting a good bang for my buck overseas. I'm overseas right now. VIX, I'm telling you, as much as we were talking about setting up for a higher low over here, which is not playing out into a de-escalated fashion, I'm now looking for the same thing as a lower high and looking for de-escalation going into next week. Walmart still bullish, just kind of grinding along. Materials have pulled all the way back. We'll see if there's a setup there. Communication services looks okay. Oil was up today, but energy still down. Financials looks like it's still in a setup mode. Industrial still in a setup mode. Technology still in a setup mode. Yeah. You know, we thought we might get some signals this week, and they just didn't come to fruition. XLY looks like it should have something, and then you're like, oh, XLY retail, and then you're like, wait, that's one stock's earnings announcement that didn't actually provide us with any tangible, tradable opportunities. That's the list. I mean, Wednesday morning had people have been in a panic for sure, right? Which is something that we don't do. We don't panic. We especially don't panic when we're hovering around a 5. That 5 is what should help us be like, hey, don't get caught up in the market's knee-jerk bullshit, right? That we know it has. That we know it has over and over. So here's the question, right? Remember, we're on section 3, trading rules. We want to define those. The question to finish this week was an interesting week. How do you feel? And you can tell me overall or specifically regarding trading. And is that how you want it to feel, or at least close? And it's okay to be like, I'm a little disappointed. I feel a little disappointed. I felt there was going to be some signals that didn't come. I've got a few things that are actually still working that are surprising that they're still going despite what the market's doing. So overall, I feel like I'm in control, and I definitely want to feel like I'm in control. I don't want to feel disappointed, so I need to process that. Right? I need to process that. I need to be like, okay, you're disappointed. Was that you letting bias influence you? Is that impacting your trading? I don't want to be disappointed. I don't want that at all. Good investing quote. Instead of predicting, prepare and react. In fact, I want to change it to one more P. Instead of predicting, prepare and proact. Proact. Right? Where you say, if then. I already have I'm not reacting because I already have my course of action defined. I'm just waiting for what trigger comes. If trigger A comes, I do this. And if trigger B comes, I do that. And if trigger C comes, I do that. Actually, we'll make it this, that, and the other. So I have three, right? So I'm trying to be proactive. I love that, but I want to be not like, because I feel like when I react, when I think of the term react, I think of this. You step around the corner and I jump out and go, ah! I might have even scared you without even seeing me. When that happens, what do? You react. Ah, holy shit. What are you doing, Scott? You nut. Ah, you react. I don't want to react. I want to just simply proact, where I'm thinking to myself, okay, one of three things happens. Scott's going to jump out from that corner. And if he does, I'm going to punch him in his nose. B, nobody's going to jump out from that corner. And I'm just going to keep going on my day. C, I'm going to turn the corner and Scott's going to be there giggling and I'm not going to do anything, right? I've got it all lined up. So if all of a sudden someone jumps, boom, he gets punched in his nose. That was all scripted in advance. That was proactively defined. I was just waiting for the trigger. I don't know. Is that helpful? What do you guys think? Oh, it's good. It's a good discussion. Confused about the difference in implications. So great. Let's talk about a specific question. Implications. So implications are going to mean like I have different types of trades that I use. Breakout trades versus bounce trades versus continuation trades versus channel trades, right? Where I might have different systems that I'm going to apply this type of trade in this market, this type in that market, this type in the other. Now, when I talk about types of trades, these need to be defined down here. So when I say a bounce trade, that's a system. That's going to come down here and have its own set of characteristics. Breakout trade, etc. Now, when it comes to a bounce trade, I might have a bounce trade for 10 to 12 days, 7 to 9 days, 4 to 7 days, 2 to 4 days. How long I expect to hold it's going to be based on market conditions. The better the market, the longer I expect to hold it. As things start to worsen up, I start to lessen my time frames. So I'm not going to define time frame down here is not how long do I hold. Time frame here is to make sure you define what charts. Because too often people will go to a chart and then they'll be like, I'm going to go look at a 4 hour, then a 1 hour, then a 5 minute, then a 30 minute, then a 2 hour, then a weekly, it's like, holy shit, man. What are you doing? I'm okay with looking at different time frames, but they each have to have a role. I'm going to start on a daily. If I look at a weekly, it's to understand the institutions. If I go down to a 2 hour or a 1 hour, it's because I want to see the intraday, but not at a day trader level, but more at a, right? I want to define why am I looking at that chart. So that's the time frame differential. Risk management adjustments versus position sizing. So I'm going to potentially position size different systems different ways. I have some systems that are high expectancy, low frequency. I'm going to position size those more because I know I don't get them as often. Whereas, swing trade, bounce trades, I'm going to position size those. So that's determined here. Here, risk management adjustments are where I say I'm willing to have 15% portfolio heat. And if the market gets worse, I'm only willing to have 10% portfolio heat. And if the market really gets nasty, I'm only willing to have 5% portfolio heat. So that's more of like a portfolio level risk management adjustment. Whereas in the trading rules, that is a system level establishing risk adjustment? Such an amazing question. I feel like I want to just pull the last 10 minutes of this out and just like put it somewhere else, because I do feel like this is helpful, or at least I think it is. I don't know if you guys agree. Let me know. And then here, when we talk about, and the other, sorry, to highlight, types of trades can also talk about, like, are you buying calls or are you selling puts or are you doing spreads, right? Like, what type of trade? Because down here we might change our systems as well, right? And so, and then when you think about tactics, that's where you might say things like, hey, when it gets to, so Press sold a contract today. It was only 30%. If it was a worse market, he might have sold 50%, or right. The amount that we scale with our tactics will change based on conditions. Right now, I agree with Press. If I take profit, I'm going to take whatever smallest piece I can, get a little locked in gains, ease the risk, carry the rest forward. In a choppier market, I'll sell half. I'll sell 2/3 and be like, I'll carry a little bit and see if I can catch a little more. So that's where market conditions will dictate how do we implement these trade management tactics that we tend to employ by way of the logistics. The devil's in the details, right? That's what we can see when we look at, like, what are more portfolio level decisions that will be made based on market conditions versus system level decisions that will be made as we develop the system. And they definitely will interact with each other, and they need to play well. They have to get along. Amazing question. I hope I did a good job explaining so that you can feel comfortable defining those two different aspects and levels of your trading plan. Yeah, very cool. That was a good Friday today. Getting some chatting in. What do we have? Have a great weekend. We'll be back on normal time Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. We'll posture. We'll talk about it. Nothing's changed for me. We actually didn't do a preview today. Ironically, I didn't get to that. So we'll see what that does to how we feel about the posture on Sunday. Yeah, thanks everyone. You guys help. I mean, these conversations are amazing. We always end up uncovering some things that are just so helpful. So I appreciate that. I hope you all have an amazing weekend. See you Sunday morning. As always, happy trading.
in the end of the year with Scott's company. So, yeah. But at least he'll get this time, you know. He'll get the time that he's doing right now. So that's good. And he's learned a lot. Then he's going to come back. He came home 2 weeks ago. No, not 2 weeks ago. He just left. When did he go back? Yeah, I guess it would be 2 weeks ago tomorrow. We were sitting here. We were doing, well, they had their fall break. Oh, do your kids get fall break? Yeah, because it's shorter semesters. I didn't think that they did. So Riley, I do, and Cam does. They all do. Um, so I had fall break so it was on Saturday, and I had fall break Monday and Tuesday of that next coming week, and Cam had it later in the week. He had Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday off. And I was like, oh, you take them home. And he's like, oh, no, 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 no. And I was sitting here tapping at the door going, and it's Cameron. He just drove home. He loves it. He just loves it. He's done it so many times. He loves it. It was so much fun. It was so great. I think he's just been so depressed not being able to do anything. And then I think it was really hard to go back from what he had been doing to doing that at home. So I think he was really just struggling, and he came home and all of his friends. So he does. He's never been home for 10 weeks here. So that was really fun. She did. She came home. She could only come home for one day because she had
Pennsylvania, Bellwether County, Pennsylvania's 7th district here, and you can see in Northampton, Vice President Harris up 51% to Trump's 47%. In Lehigh, Harris up 52% to Trump's 45%. Oftentimes, this county being a bellwether is indicative of how the rest of the state votes and how often the rest of the country votes. It's a big indicator of the presidential election. So this is very good news for Vice President Kamala Harris. More good news here in Marist's polling of early voters. Marist is an A-rated poll, and they asked people who already submitted their ballots. And here's what they found. In Arizona, 55% of voters who have already submitted ballots voted for Harris compared to Trump's 44. In North Carolina, Harris 55, Trump 43. In Georgia, Harris 54, Trump 45. So that is actually incredibly enlightening data, which goes
Hello.
Hello.
What are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Yeah.
How's your Friday?
It's boring so far.
What?
Text with me.
Boring? Do you want to have a quick dance party?
The dance party?
Yeah, you and me. It's just a dance party.
Well, dance parties aren't very fun over the phone.
You want me to drive up?
Yeah.
Done. Done. How was your day for school?
It's good. I only have one class.
Did anyone bully you today in school?
No.
Are there any bullies that you're dealing with this year?
I'm the bully.
Yeah. The tables have turned. How the turntables have turned.
Exactly.
That's funny. And no more classes today?
No.
Waiting for
I
you.
think Savannah's leaving soon, and so she's gonna
I told Mom she's never leaving because she's the flakiest of all the flakies.
She is flaky, but she said 2 to 3.
Uh-huh.
So
So you'll see her next week.
she'll have to stop by the house to get.
I know, we have a check. I saw a check on the table. And Mom said, oh, Savannah's coming. I'm like, oh, so how are we going to get that check to Riley? Just kidding.
Never remind her.
Just kidding. I like Savannah, of course.
I do too.
Savannah's coming up, and then you three are Savannah and Katie friends from before? Like, what's their prior?
Before, but we all hung out a few times this summer.
And they get along pretty well. There's no weird like mutual friend weirdness that there sometimes can be.
No.
That's good.
Yeah.
So the three of you, what do y'all got planned?
I'm not fully sure. We're going to a hockey game tonight, and I think tomorrow night we're going to go to like a haunted house.
Three cute girls out on the town.
Yeah.
All the boys trying to talk to you. How's everything with Dante these days?
They're good.
Simmered? Like, is it like less? Is it hard and you guys don't talk as much now like when you first got there?
We still talk a lot. It is hard, but
For sure it's hard, dude. Of course it's hard. You know? Yeah. But you still get a good amount?
yeah, we don't talk on the phone as much. We still try to talk on the phone like every day, but sometimes we don't.
Do you feel like you're both still like exclusive to each other? Is that becoming more ambiguous? Do you feel like?
No, I think we're still exclusive. Like, I think if that were to ever change, it'd be like more of a.
Do you feel like you both would be respectful enough to be like, hey, like I started talking to this person and I kind of think I'm gonna, something like that?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's just all you can hope for. It's just some openness and honesty about it when you both are that far away, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Someone accused me of never calling her, so I just wanted to make sure that I gave her a call.
Yeah, you do never call me.
So I'm 1 up. I'm keeping score, and at the end, when we look at the score, whoever has the higher score gets to slap the other person that many times in the face.
Like the difference or the score?
The difference in the score, like the goal differential, basically, becomes the number of slaps in the face.
Okay, that's good. I was like, if it's a score that kind of seems unfair.
Right? Because if we racked it up to like 1,001 to 1,000, and you win by 1, and then it's like, okay, I gotta give you 1,001 slaps. That does seem cruel and unusual, which is illegal.
Yeah.
Guess what? I'm almost done with my lean class.
I thought you already finished that class, or is that a different?
And that was no. So I've done RCA, root cause analysis. I've done SAFE, which is Scaled Agile Framework, which is an engineering methodology. I'm SAFE certified. This is Lean certified. This is like a process improvement certification. So I'm almost done. I have to deliver my final project, and it's so funny because when they were telling, do you have time? Are you okay to chat for a minute?
Yeah.
So when we were doing the project, I think the lady at first would get mad because I would miss a lot of classes, It's just like, and not like school where I just didn't show up. I had other things. And so I would say, I would try to explain it. And then when we started our projects, when she was explaining the parameters, she's like, we don't want you to approach any director or VP level people in doing your project. So, work with your manager and whatever else. And so it's like, I'm like, but I am the director. So I was like,
I don't think I can do that.
so I'm kind of working downwards where like everybody else, and so I'm like, that's why I'm asking for some flexibility. And so she finally was like way nicer eventually. But no, I did my final project deck, and now I have to give the final project. But like, you're supposed to give the project with your manager. So I don't know if mom told you, but like our company, it's kind of shitty, but we had a big like workforce reduction.
Yeah.
And so like 3 of the people on my project team are getting laid off, which is really shitty.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, I pretty much am just gonna like have to give you guys my project, you know, like my team. Usually, like your manager comes, but like my manager. So I don't have a manager. I report to the VP. We sync up maybe every other week, and then we see each other like in meetings and stuff. Like I put her on the invite, but I'm like, there's like an 8% chance that she shows up for this, right? So I'm like, anyway, so it's pretty funny.
That is funny.
But then I get another certificate, so I'll put it on the fridge and I'll have 2 at one time right now.
Beautiful certificate.
How many certificates do you have on the fridge right now?
None right now.
So, I mean, you're probably jealous, and that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But really, it should not be like where you sit and think, oh, it should be where you motivate yourself to get some certifications, and I'll put them on the fridge. What is your next certification that you're working on?
I don't even know any certification.
Well, you just got one this summer, but you took it with you.
Yeah, I have it with me. So technically, I can put it on my fridge.
Would you? And then, yeah, or do you think people would tease you?
They probably tease me.
Fucking bitches. Yeah, I thought you were doing like a phlebotomy one or something next.
I was going to at some point, but I don't know.
In the summers, maybe you just do one, or no, you want to have, like, you don't know.
Yeah, probably this summer, I'd say.
Are you doing any volunteering right now, or just school?
I'm not doing it right now, but I'm like getting to do it. Like I'm preparing, I guess.
For some this semester?
Yeah,
Nice.
it's like a process.
Yeah, like going through like background checks and things. You mean the process like that?
Yeah.
Nice. Here's another question. Festival of Trees.
What about it? Will I be there? Is that the question?
Yeah, what are your thoughts this year? Do you just want another like flood of pictures
Yeah, probably.
and not come? It's a long ways and it's right before finals. It's kind of a hassle.
Yeah, it's not the easiest.
Okay. So just a picture of everything, tree and house that I think you might like.
Yeah.
Do you want me to take a picture and send a text? Or do you want me to take a bunch of pictures and send them all at once? I don't want to bother you if you're doing something.
Yeah, maybe.
I'll check in before and I'll be like, okay, aggregate and send a bunch, or send them so you can just see them as they come.